right. Good afternoon. Oh, that's not that's your. Good afternoon, Bellevue. My name's Dan Davidson. I'm an insurance agent with Principal Financial Group, and I know you're just all clamoring to hear more about mortality tables and all of that fun stuff, but I'm not going to bore you with that today. What I am going to talk about is a little bit about myself. I do advise people with, especially business owners, on ways to help protect their assets as well as grow those and then distribute them when they get to retirement. And my wife and I also have an Advocare distributorship where we help people reach their health and fitness goals. Now, before I get started, I'm actually going to have them roll a video here. It's just a little test, just to kind of get people in the mood, maybe some visual stimulation, to go ahead and follow along the directions. I don't need to speak. There's no sound, so nothing's going wrong when you don't hear anything. Just follow the directions. We'll roll the tape, and we'll go from there. So that little exercise, first time I saw it, I did not see the gorilla either, right? I mean, I'm there to see something, I'm looking for something, and I completely miss the gorilla in the room, right? And so that's really what I want to talk about today, is how when we lock onto certain things in our lives, we can completely lock out other things. Now, that can be both good and bad, right? Because sometimes we want to lock out certain things. But an example that one of my managers used to use was like if you lose your keys, right? And you're in a hurry to get out of the house, you're ready to go, and all you're doing is, I can't find my keys. My keys are lost. I can't find my keys. And then somebody will come along in the house or wherever you're at and like, oh, did you look here? Of course I looked. That was the first place I looked. And then you end up going over there with them, and that's generally where you find them. But you were so focused on the fact that they were lost that that's all that you could see. Another positive example of that is when you're starting to look, I've seen this when you're starting to look for new cars. And you start driving down the road, and maybe you hadn't seen that car much before, but now you see it everywhere. So that whole reticular activating system and really being aware of what's going on around you is important. So what I'd like to do is talk a little bit more about vibrations. And what is Dan? Now he's going on to vibrations. What vibe are you sending out into the world? Now, we all send out a vibe one way or the other, either good or bad. And those things can either be, you notice that the first time you meet somebody sometimes. You'll walk into a room, you meet them for the first time, you have a conversation with them, and gosh, you just get a really good feeling about them, from them, even certain places. But those are the types of vibes that I'm talking about. And we all put off a vibe, whether it's positive or negative. And let's get this going here real quick. And the law of attraction or the universe or whatever we want to call it just responds to that. It doesn't judge whether it's a good vibration or bad vibration. It just responds. So if you're sending out a bad vibration, you're probably going to get more of that. You start sending off a good vibration, hopefully you'll start getting more of that. The law of attraction does not judge. But how do we create this vibe that I'm talking about? Well, it comes down to three things: words, words, and words. Whether or not we're speaking them or writing them down or listening to them or just thinking about them, words dictate kind of what we think about. And guess what? What we think about dictates how we feel. And that feeling that we get, that's what determines the vibe we're sending out. So, since thoughts are made of words, we must pay close attention to what our word choices are. We actually need to eliminate, as quickly as we can, certain words in our vocabulary. Don't, not, can't, and no need to be gone, eliminated as quickly as possible. For instance, if I tell you, don't think about pizza, first thing you're going to do, think about pizza. Don't think about this. You're going to think about that. So we don't want to focus on what we don't want. What we want to end up focusing on is what we do want. Instead of saying, don't hesitate to call me, say, call me soon. Instead of thinking, I don't want this client to cancel this appointment, you're thinking, I know my clients keep their appointments with me. So what do I want? What do you want? Well, What vibe are we sending? And what are the results that you're seeing? So there's really 3 steps that I like to look at, and this is from Michael Lozier's Law of Attraction, is really identifying what you want, giving your attention to it, then allowing it to happen. Now, identifying that, for me, what worked out, and this was, I've done a couple different workshops, but really Michael Lozier's one where he talks about using contrasting statements to really create and identify what it is that you do want. And for me, that was getting an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and really kind of going through the things that might be creating some stress or tension in my life. Working through some of those I can't or I don't have yet type statements. And then just as quickly as you do that, the next thing you're doing is going right across from those and writing what you do want. What would make that better? I don't have an office that's up to par with what I would like to work at. Well, what does that office look like that you'd like to have? I don't have this many clients yet. Well, how many clients do you want to have? And really focusing on those things. And then what I've done, I folded that sheet in half. I don't look at the side of what I don't want or what I don't need or what I don't have, and I'm really focusing then on the things that I do want to get in life. Now, how do you give attention to what you want? Some Pacific Institute training that I went through a few years back talked about really using affirmations for that. And what was really neat about that is that it was taking yourself out of your current situation area and really putting yourself in the present moment, saying, like, I am the type of person that has 3,000 clients that I talk to. I have finished my 2nd book that I've been writing, those types of things, and putting yourself into that present. I make $1 million a year, or whatever that would be for you. And for me, though, what I found, and I'm glad I found Michael Lozier later on in life, was like 2 years later along in life, was that still created tension, right? For me, it was like, I still know I didn't really have that. I didn't have all those clients yet. I didn't have that income yet. For some people, it's about meeting the right person. For some people, it's about being more healthy. And there's that tension when you're not there yet. So Michael just made it really simple in his book, The Law of Attraction. I'm in the process of. It's as simple as that. I'm in the process of having this. I'm in the process of becoming this. Or I am becoming this. And really that for me, I don't know how it worked for everybody else, but for me that really helped kind of ease that tension I was feeling around the fact that I know I'm not quite there yet, but I really want to be there. The next step is allowing it. You can do the first 2, but if you don't allow these things to come into your life, if you're still blocking these off with negative thoughts and really doubt, which is what blocks these things from happening, we need to remove that doubt. Easier said than done, but also not too difficult to do. So if you just start thinking about things like, wow, no, this feels possible. This could happen to me. I'm the type of person that this happens to. When I started doing this, I kid you not, I was driving home from the store, I remember, and I don't know if this was good or bad, but it happened. There was a contest for tickets for a Van Halen show, because I know I'm not going to go pay to see Van Halen down at White River Amphitheater, but a free show. And I was just like, yeah, I'm the type of person that happens to. Pulled the car over, seriously, because I'm that safe about it. Pulled the car over, dialed the number, won the tickets. The next week, won tickets to go see the Seattle Symphony perform John Williams music down at Marymore Park. So I took my son to that so we could rock out to the Star Wars and Indiana Jones and all of that great stuff, E.T., all that fun stuff. So I just kind of started thinking, I'm the type of person that this happens to. And some of those things start feeling like, wow, now that's a relief, is another thing you can say. Now you need to really get rid of those things that are those I can't, because, right? We put those becauses. Well, I would like to do this, but I can't because this. I can't lose weight. It's in my family. The genetics just say everybody in my family is overweight. That can't be me. Or it's too late probably for me to start a company. I'm in my 40s now. That's just not in the cards. I should have done this earlier in my 20s, or I should have went to school for this. But really then start focusing on, have there been people in the world that maybe, even though their family it had a history of obesity or diabetes, that maybe one person out of that family found a way to live a more healthful life? Or, there's probably people that are much older than me that started companies later on in life and were very successful. So it's really looking, yeah, it's possible. Those things happen. And really, this is where it comes down to, because sometimes you can get lost, and I have, these things, good things, start happening. But if you're not paying attention to what's going on in your life, you're really missing out. So really, it's about celebrating those little victories, right, that you have along in life. And you can go through that list of things that you've been having going on and really notice for me, it was I'd actually ignored it for a couple months. And then all of a sudden, lo and behold, my wife's working one job instead of two, and it's at a job she enjoys doing, she loves. She's not getting up at 4 in the morning to go to Starbucks. She's got this great new gig working for an orthodontist that she just loves and working with people that she likes to work with. It's like, oh, yeah, I had written that down that I wanted that for her. And look, a couple months later, it's happened. And really, for me, what it also comes down to, and I'm becoming the type of person that journals. I actually own many of them in various places of completeness, but really focusing on gratitude, right? Really focusing on recognizing and then being grateful for. So, I think when you can get rid of I can't or don't or won't or don't, you can really focus on thank you. And you start saying thank you, thank you, thank you to the things that are going on in your life. And in stressful moments, when you're laying awake at night because you just woke up and you're realizing, okay, this is what's got to happen, or I've got this to go on, or boy, I really hope this meeting goes well, or nobody signed up yet for my talk. Remember that a lot can happen. And that's one of the phrases that I go back to, even in the car sometimes, like lots can happen. A lot can happen in a handshake. A lot can happen in a minute, in an hour, in a week, in a day. You never know who you're going to come across that's going to change your life. And just being open to that and not locking that out because you're so focused on what you don't want in your life, but being open to what's out there is really important. So just a few takeaways. Words. It's all about words, right? It's all about your word choice because words become thoughts, thoughts become feelings, and feelings, they set your vibe. And there's only two kind of vibrations you can send out, right? Positive or negative. The universe doesn't care. It doesn't judge, it just responds. And finally, lock on to what you do want. If you haven't done it yet, take the time to do that contrasting exercise. And I really do recommend going out and buying Michael Lozier's book, The Law of Attraction. It was one of those things where I was on Facebook. A friend of mine from high school I hadn't seen in 20 years posted this picture, saw that book, and he was heading off to a trip, and it was just all of his crap that he was heading out to this business trip. And I saw that book, and I was like, Scott, tell me about that book. He's like, changed my life. Go buy it. Now, I went and downloaded it from the library because I'm not one to just go spend money on stuff. But it really is a work. You can read through the book once, which they recommend, and then go back and do the work. And what I really like is that all the worksheets are free. So once you spend the $10, $15 to get the book, Michael provides all the worksheets. You can print them out and do that for free. And I think that's a really good value you can add to your life. So lock on to what you want. Lock out the doubt. And I really appreciate your time this afternoon. Thank you.